You know, I'm a lot different than most people when it comes to trail cameras. I view them merely as a tool, a very important tool at that, but for me, they're a tool to allow me to not only census the deer on the properties that I hunt, but also get a feel for what's out there. Sometimes some properties don't have what you might think they have. 3 things that I do when it comes to trail cameras. Number 1, pick the site, obviously. Number 2, prep it or maybe not. And number 3, how I position those cameras. So in these areas, we have a woods right here leading up to a food plot. Perfect spot. Deer come in and out of here all the time. There's trails cutting in and out of here just off the main trail. So I found a really nice spot here to place my cutting link. You know, this tree here I did not prep, and I prefer this over than trimming a tree out. I can tuck that camera right there. Now deer will see it, don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna spray it down afterwards and everything. But that's a nice natural camouflage. It's gonna blend in. Yes, they're gonna know a camera's there, but not for too long. They're gonna get used to it real quickly. So we get our camera set. You know, we're gonna fine tune the rest. I'm not gonna turn it on quite yet. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna slightly modify this. The one thing you want to do is when you're tucking a camera in, is this is really nice, is we got this natural camouflage here, but be sure that there's no branches here that are going to be waving in front of your camera, because otherwise you're going to go check the camera, or you're going to, on a cutting link system, you're going to go check that home camera and you're going to have 1,000 images of, you know, a branch waving in front of your camera. So that's one thing that you can keep in mind. This is pretty good right here. Everything's coming up good. I'm arming the camera right now. I'm gonna shut the camera. The camera is operational. Okay, I got one more camera to set up. The nice thing about the cutting link system is I'm gonna set this one closer to my home camp, and it's gonna allow me to check this camera and get images from all of them. I'm gonna set this camera up though a little bit differently than the last one. Okay, I got the base for this camera already on the tree. It's overlooking a mock scrape that it made last fall, and don't believe what people tell you. Deer use mock scrapes year round. That's the nice thing about this. So this one's gonna be real simple, is that I can just basically pop this camera on and get out of here without making too much noise and leaving too much scent. This camera is higher. I like to set these cameras, especially in mock scrapes, shooting down. The deer won't see them as much. They're gonna be preoccupied with working that licking branch, but as they're walking on this trail, they're normally not gonna look up. The other thing, I learned this from Mark Cuddyback himself, these little sticks that I got here, that little bit of breaking up the outline really helps with cameras. The deer get used to that, I find, a lot quicker than just slapping a camera on a bare tree. The nice thing about this cutting link system, all those other Cuddyback cameras are feeding their images right to this camera, so all I have to do is walk from camp, pull this card, I got all the images without having to go out into the woods. That's pretty cool.